positively or negatively.
Yeah, that's my point.
But it's a part of the national discussion.
Okay, all right. All right, so online petitions aren't a new thing, and the first successful one was conducted back in the summer of 1998. Didn't know that. This was overseas, of course, but let's talk about what it's like here in Jamaica. Are we clicking away for nothing? Well, President of the Love March movement, Dr. Daniel Thomas, and Director of Communications at the Office of the Prime Minister, Robert Nesta, almost said Marley, but it's Morgan. They join us now. Good morning to you both. Robert Nesta,
morning.
Robert Nesta in this nice George's blue shirt there. Good morning to you both.
And Daniel in the campaign, right?
No. Daniel's not right that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to figure out where to start with this. So if I have an issue that I want the country to get involved in, I do what as far as this petition?
Well, you can go to the Office of the Prime Minister's petition page. And
Which is something new.
Yes, it is very new. It is a new initiative that came out. The Prime Minister wanted another portal, because remember that there are about 1.5 Jamaicans on social media now. And a lot of
1.5 million.
Yes, a lot of activism is taking place on the internet. A lot of young people, old people are pushing out their ideas and having discussions online about national issues. So we thought that this was another way where we could tap into that and give people online a direct access, a voice to speak to the government and get some of their concerns addressed. So you go on the Prime Minister's, the OPM's petition page, you sign up a petition, you can run a campaign, and if you reach 15,000, the government will respond to you.
Respond doesn't necessarily mean accept. It just means that they will think that enough people are interested in this.
Well, one of the good things about petitions is that it gives the government an idea of how important an issue is in the national discussion. So, for example, a recent petition that reached the threshold of 15,000 was regarding the cockpit country. And it ignited a lot of discussion. It was on news. I think it was even on your program, where a lot of persons were like, well, we need to talk about the cockpit country. And it has spurred the government to act. And by middle of next month, as was committed to the government, will be responding. There has been a lot of work being done behind the scenes to discuss the boundaries of the cockpit country and so forth. So it's not a case where it's just a talk. The government actually has to look at these things and see, well, if the public, so many people are willing to go and sign up this petition, then obviously it must mean something to the public, so we have to look into it.
Before I bring Daniel in, are there limitations as to what you can petition for? I've been going on the portal and I've been seeing some petitions. And for me, I'd have said, no, sir, and delete this. But I know the government wants to give everybody a voice. Robert, are there limitations as to what can and what cannot make it?
It must be legal. It must not be defamatory. But generally, we're very careful about restricting a petition. And the reality is that the public will be the good censor of what's a good petition or not. So if you put a petition about, let's say, no more stoplights, you notice that that didn't go that far.
Right.
But a petition such as something related to giving teachers duty concessions or so forth, you will see that is growing. A petition about a national day of prayer, you see that went to 7,000. So the issues, I think the public is very discerning in what they address, and you see the support going to the petitions, which actually are not frivolous, which make a lot of sense.
Is there a time limit to get these signatures?
Well, currently it's 40 days.
So if you don't get it in 40 days, the Prime Minister won't even look at it?
If you don't get it in 40 days, we won't even look at it, depending on the gravity of it. So if it is something that we think objectively, because it's not a hard and fast rule, if it's something that is galvanizing public consciousness and is important to the country, then there's a possibility that we look at it and say, well, it didn't reach the 15,000, but we can address it.
Before we move to Daniel, I wanted to ask, now I know you go online.
Yes.
There were concerns that people are saying, is there another way? Can it be done on multiple platforms or in multiple ways? Is there somewhere people can go and sign something, or is it strictly online?
Well, people have been petitioning the government long before online.
Right.
I mean, we get thousands of letters at OPM. We get calls and so forth. So this portal is just a way to connect with people online. So it doesn't. People can always write to the government, write to the Prime Minister, send emails. They can even send their other petitions that's always been accepted.
Okay.
But this portal is trying to tap into the people online, and people are using the internet.
Okay, and that's what we're just showing you there, how it works. Dr. Thomas, the president of the Love March movement, which is what?
Well, the Love March Movement is a youth Christian organization for sexual purity and family, and we're involved a lot in advocacy and ministry.
Sorry to jump in. When you say sexual purity and family, what do you mean by that?
Well, sexual purity is just talking about the way God intended us to behave in terms of sexually, in terms of family, nuclear family, marriage, staying a virgin until marriage. So we talk a lot about stuff like those. But I really want to zoom in on the advocacy part, which is very dear to our hearts. We're big on getting the public involved in petitions, in speaking up in Parliament. We actually presented in Parliament regarding the review of the Sexual Offences Act as well. But in this regard, I actually signed one of the petitions in question here, the one about the National Day of Prayer. I want to congratulate the OPM for doing this initiative, because we really believe in especially giving the young people an avenue to get involved heavily in activism and being a part of national discussions.
But is that the challenge with activism and national discussions, that Jamaicans like to talk a lot? So you'll go online and they'll argue from 6 a.m.
to 6
to
p.m.
5 a.m. But when you say put your signature on something, help to move it, Daniel, that rarely happens?
Well, I wouldn't say it rarely happens. There are some things that hit a chord inside people that push them to action.
Right.
I strongly believe Jamaicans want action, right? We talk a lot,
I
yes.
think them want it too, but them want other people to do it.
They want, well, one click is the least that they can do. That's really our position. We encourage persons to click and to jump in on the petitions. But regarding the one about the National Day of Prayer, I want to congratulate those who started that. I am one of the voters there. And we actually got to 15,000.
No, 7.
So there's a little discrepancy here, because apparently there were the servers went down for a number of days during the time when we were supposed to be doing it, so.
But why would you need a petition, though, Daniel, for a National Day of Prayer?
Well,
can't the churches just decide that we're all going to say today
is a National Day of
we
Prayer.
are going to pray for the nation?
There's a huge significance. It's extremely significant when the leader of the nation does it. I mean, going back to biblical times, it's just a huge thing. So we decided, this is important to us, and as believers, we want to jump in and we want to make this happen.
It's going to need a bigger discussion than we have this morning, because I was about to say it puts the Prime Minister in a position also where Jamaica is a country of religious diversity.
And Jamaica is also a nation founded on biblical values, and it is the Prime Minister who put himself in this position.
No.
Who has allowed many
Jamaica is founded on biblical values.
Of
Be
course.
careful, Daniel. We're coming out of
National Heroes Day,
colonialism.
several believers who gave their lives to fight slavery.
Okay.
Robert,
Yes, sir.
What are some of the petitions you've got in recent times? What are we asking for?
We have a petition that is speaking about giving teachers duty concession and a 50% increase. That is ongoing. We have a petition that is speaking about renaming particular streets after Marcus Garvey. We have petitions in the past that spoke about Miss Lou, making Miss Lou a national icon.
May I tell you?
You had one in the past about Mr. Warmington.
No, I don't remember seeing that one. But what I want to say though, that it is important to say that while a petition is ongoing, the OPM does not express an opinion for or against a petition.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Because that would be unfair.
Yeah, man.
Because the system is new, you're going to have teething pain. So, for example, when the prayer petition was taking place, the site became overwhelmed by the amount of responses.
So many responses.
Right? But as I said, as I assured him, I mean, you got to about 78,000 the last time. Try again.
But he was suggesting that because it was down, he really got his 15.
Well, I don't see the evidence of
What
that.
if the
So I cannot say it did.
But you're saying that they can. You're saying that they can. They
can try again.
They can reopen the petition.
Yeah, we can.
There's
we can
no
try
limit
again.
as to how many times.
Once your petition is not successful, you can can try as many times as you want. We will never
wonderful.
prevent that.
All right.
But I encourage everyone to just participate in the portal. It is a real portal. The government will really respond if you reach the threshold, because we want to have a conversation with the public.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for coming.
So Daniel, you're going to reopen the petition?
Well, I will bring it to those who opened it before, but what about persons who don't have internet access? There's a small
But he said you
loophole
still
there.
can email and you still can
You
write.
still can
and
send a petition.
you can-
A hard copy of petition, because we completed
Before the
7,000 hard
opium,
copy.
before the opium portal, you could always send a paper petition to the government.
Yeah.
This is just
So
giving
you still
persons
can do
online
it.
another
you-
opportunity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We reached 15,000. Because 7 online
But
and
that's
7
two different
offline.
petitions, Daniel.
Well, we can
Same
talk
one,
about it
man.
after.
All right.
Pray about
So,
it.
Daniel said I'm 7 online and 8 offline.
Pray about
All
it.
Oh, yeah.
Pray
President
about
of the
it.
Love March movement, Dr. Daniel Thomas, who looked just like him, father, and Director of Communications at the Office of the Prime Minister, who don't look like the Prime Minister, Robert Nestor Morgan.
Oh dear. Still online, we check in with our Smile Jammers and their views on Mike Henry's recent comments. That'll be interesting. Stay
Very.
with us.
Soon come.